Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today we're talking compost, worm compost. So first guys, I just want to say thank you guys so much for subscribing to my channel and just asking questions and getting involved with my channel and with all the things that I'm doing here in Arizona for my small space garden. I never realized how many people that I could actually help learn to build their own garden in small spaces where they didn't think that they could, and that feels so great to me to know that I'm a part of growing this community of being able to be self-sufficient. Right now it's such a big time where we all should have gardens. We all should have some place where there's either herbs that we are growing for seasoning our food and medicine, because even the herbs that we use to season our food are still medicine, and or just grow vegetables too as well, to where we have fresh vegetables to eat. So I find that really, really important, because when everybody was mass buying things at the grocery stores, I saw everybody buying such unhealthy things like ramen noodles and just things that are packed full of preservatives. And it's like, if you don't get the flu, you're probably gonna have high cholesterol or diabetes or some other health condition because you've been eating ramen noodles for a month straight. That's not healthy for you. So being able to have your own space where you can provide yourself with that fresh food, if grocery stores close, which a lot of them are said to have across the world. We haven't yet in Arizona. We still have our grocery stores open, but you know, there's starting to be a limit to certain things, and you don't want to not have fresh food to be able to provide for your family and only have boxed macaroni and cheese, because that's really, really unhealthy, and you can do more damage long run without even getting, sick from, what's going on right now. So we're going to talk compost, because compost is really important. So I have been testing out worm composting. I went to the worm farm. If you guys haven't seen my video on the worm farm, I will link it down below so that you guys can check that one out. But I saw that they had this in-ground, just kind of like bin, where they would just throw scraps. They would just throw all types of leaf scraps, anything that they had in the garden, because they, grow other vegetables there too as well. And they would just throw leaves, they'd throw paper, anything, and the worms would kind of go through and eat everything and then go back out to the garden. So it put all of this compost just into the garden, to where it was worm castings and compost that were just thrown about, the garden, because the worms are not only eating everything in there, but then they're going out, and it's going to sound gross, but pooping in the garden as they go out. And it made it to where, when I talked to the guy about why he was doing that and why that was important, he said it's because I don't have to do anything else but that in order to get the garden to grow. And I thought about that, and I was like, that's insane. That's something that you can feed your garden just by the things that you would normally just throw away out of your garden. And the worms are then feeding the garden and providing nutrients for the garden, to where then you don't have to rely on so many other things and so many other amendments to put into your garden. So I'll show you guys my setup, and then we'll talk about what I'm putting into it. So I have saw a lot of growth, and especially in this bed, and then also in this bed. This bed's missing a lot because we are starting to plant. As you can see, look at the little babies. They're coming in. But there's massive amount of growth in this whole bed, and this whole bed's connected. And it's also connected to this, which is my worm composting bin. So all I did is I took some chicken wire, so that then it connected the two spots together, but kept all of the debris and stuff like that out of my main bed. But this is basically where the worms go to eat. And if you dig down here, you can see, let's see if we can find some. There goes one right there who's moving. They come in here and they eat everything that's in here. So then once it gets down to where it's like almost nothing, I can then take this soil, which is full of compost, full of just broken down plant material, and I can put that into my bed. And that then gives me soil for my bed. And when I started this, guys, I had nothing in here but just random plant material. And I went to the guy and said, it's not really getting the worms. And he said, add a little bit of soil so that the worms can have something to crawl through. And I did that, and now within a matter of a couple of days, I would say, they broke down so much stuff. Because if you guys remember in some of my past videos, this whole bed, like there goes another little worm, this whole little area was covered in all the greens and such. Look, there goes another one too. So we'll cover this little guy back up. And now I just add things as I break them out of my garden. It's a little warm in Arizona, so I'm bouncing between the shade and the non-shade. So one of the things that I do is when I cook, I have a little bin. This is just an old strawberry tin that I have, and I just add all the different things that are basically scraps, any type of plant material scraps, and also eggshells and coffee grounds, and even the coffee filters. I use coffee filters that are unbleached, and so it's just paper, and so I even use those in there, and the worms have devoured those too as well. So as I cook, I just chop up all my vegetables and everything, and the stems that I don't use, the leaves that are maybe bad, I just take those out and I put them in here. This also has eggs in it because it has, well, eggshells in it, and it also has a coffee ground in there and coffee filter in there. So I save these, I just put it in the refrigerator, and then when it gets full, then I bring it out here to my garden and just toss it in there. The other thing that I have a lot of is I have an office at my home because I work from home. For those of you guys who don't know, I have another channel. It's called Arabella Productions, which is my marketing and PR firm. But anyways, I have a lot of paper. So I just shred the paper, and that way I'm not wasting the paper or just throwing it away. I actually use it for my compost bin too as well, because that is a plant material, because paper was a tree, and the worms will eat that too. So we're gonna go back over there and we're gonna add this to the worm bin so that you guys can see what I do. Okay, so I have some leaf scraps in there right now, but I'm gonna take these eggshells and just break them up in there. That way it makes it easier for the worms to eat, because worms don't have really big mouths. So I'm gonna break it all up, and then I'm just gonna dump the rest of it in there. Now this is a mixture of eggshells and coffee grounds, potato skins, some bell peppers, tomatoes, celery, cucumbers, all that. So I'm also going to break up some of these coffee filters too as well. Now I could just leave this and it would be fine. The worms would eventually get everything down to it, but just to kind of help on any type of smell or any type of flies, since I don't have a cover on this, I'm actually going to add some compost. So this is compost that I got from the worm farm, and it kind of just helps. This is already aged compost, but it kind of just helps with reducing the amount of flies. So I'm just going to take that and I'm going to sprinkle it over it just to cover it. Now the nice part about this is that all of this dirt that's in here, I dig down at the very bottom and I pull that dirt out for my beds. So it's providing me soil, because at the very bottom it's very, very nice and fine and just like that nice beautiful black gold. So just put that just like that. And then we're just going to add some brown material, which will be the paper. Sorry for the shakiness, guys. I'm trying to do this with one hand and hold the camera. So let's just do that. And now we're gonna get some water and just add water on top of it. Okay, so now I'm just going to, sorry, trying to do this one-handed. I'm just gonna water this in and make sure that it's good and moist. So I'm not gonna try and just stir it around too much because the worms are there kind of doing their thing, but I'm just gonna make sure that the water really gets in there and that everything is nice and moist and not dry, because it's going to get a little bit warmer today in Arizona, and I want to make sure that we're not cooking our little wormies over here. Okay, I'm totally trying to hide from the sun and get an angle where you guys can see me. So why is composting important? It's important because, one, it helps you to be able to reduce the waste that you have. Not throwing everything into the trash can and depending on the state to be able to pick it all up and do something with it makes it to where you're not contributing to a lot more waste in the landfills when you can easily just compost it yourself and make dirt. I did it inside my beds, so then that way it's kind of feeding my beds at the same time. This helps me reduce the amount of things that I need to add to my bed, and it also helps me reduce the amount of kind of like just not having healthy plants because my soil is healthy. So when the plant is healthy and the soil is healthy, then you also get reduced in bugs, you get reduced in sicknesses in your plants because everything is remaining healthy. So it kind of goes full circle with being able to take just plants right out of the garden, like the leaves that are bad or anything like that, just take those leaves, throw them in there and let them compost down and let nature take care of that. So when you guys are growing yourselves organic gardens, you got to think about different things like that. Okay, well, how can you basically make your garden recycle itself? This is also providing me with soil. Hopefully one day when we have land, I'll be able to do this on a way bigger scale, so then I can provide myself with a lot of soil that I don't need to then go and grab soil from the store or grab soil from somewhere else. I can be able to just make it myself. But this is also helping me keep my garden healthy, keep it to where I'm not having huge bug pressures or anything like that in my garden. So those are the things you want to think about. And, you know, think about how much stuff you throw away just by making a dinner or making breakfast. Eggshells, garlic papers, and stems of different types of leafy greens. You throw away a lot. And if you think about it, that's just a lot that's just sitting in the bottom of your trash can where it could be feeding your soil. So start yourself a compost bin. It's not really hard. As you guys can see, I just had chicken wire, bricks, and some wood to kind of block it off, and then just added some dirt, added some leaves. Look at the little lizard right back there. He's happy. But added some dirt, added some leaves, and it made compost, it made worm castings, and it made healthy, happy plants. So start a compost bin, guys. It's not as hard as it seems. Believe me, I thought it was going to be horrible in this desert, but if I could do it, you guys can do it. Well, until next time, grow yourself a garden, because even a small space garden can provide you with tons of food.